NCR Silver Essentials Back Office and POS. This video's version is on the U.S. and North America. For today's agenda, we'll be reviewing some of your contact information if you need assistance or want to know the sites to access when using NCR Silver. We will then walk through the NCR Silver Essentials agenda on how to set up your point of sale through the back office, how to use the point of sale, and what are you getting out of the system back in the back office. Let's look at your contacts. Your contacts, or the first one we have, is the main site. Feel free to access it at any time at www.ncrsilver.com. The NCR Silver back office, where you'll be predominantly working on your system, is located at mystore.ncrsilver.com. The console websites are for an additional program that you can attach on to your main program. Those are located at store.ncrconsole.com and employee.ncrconsole.com. Our concierge team can be reached at concierge@ncrsilver.com if you need any assistance on your initial training or setup. Our support team is 24/7 and reachable via email at customercare.ncrsilver.com or by phone or text at 877-270-3475. Our help page is customercare.ncrsilver.com, and we have operational updates listed on our trust page at trust.ncrsilver. Let's go ahead and go into the back office. This is my demo site, and as you can see, when you log into the back office through this website, there are quite a few tabs to look at. First, we're going to look at your personal settings. The back office settings will set up your employees and then walk through your inventory. To get into your personal settings, you'll click on your name. You have an option of resetting your password. You can log out, view your account details, buy hardware, or even register or view what you've already purchased through your register hardware link. Whenever you click on My Account, you'll be immediately given an overview. Of all the lines here, the active subscription number is the most important value. It's the fastest way for us to locate your account and is a very important identifier if you ever send us important documents. We'll touch again on that in a little bit. Also under My Account, we can view My Devices. So whenever you successfully register a device, iPad or Android system, to the back office, you will see it listed here. You can change the device name, or if you have too many registered, you can deactivate it by hitting the Deactivate button. You also have the ability to send special messages out to your employees. All employees will have access to view the message once they log in. And you can put in something fun, say, like, hey all, or don't forget so-and-so is mopping today. Just to give them the chores for whoever needs to be responsible for that particular duty. You would, of course, choose your date and the time. Let's see, 1:39, 1:45. And you can set it to either your time or the store time. You can also have it set for an expiration date for days, minutes, or even hours. We'll get to see the message a little bit later when we get onto the point of sale screen. Another cool aspect under My Accounts is you can look at any additional integrations. One very popular integration with our program is called Paychecks. It's a way for you to take your labor shift information, send it over to Paychecks, and then, of course, produce the paycheck that is owed to your employee. If you need any assistance or additional information, feel free to reach out to the concierge team, and we'll be sure to get you in touch with a representative who can explain more. Finally, under My Accounts, we have My Bills. With My Bills, this is where you can see what you're being charged with by NCR, with your account information, your billing information, and all invoices are located in the billing history. Moving on to your back office settings, this is where you'll click the word Settings. You'll have the option to view your company information, your store information, taxes, and of course the payment methods. With your company information, you'll need to put in content to the required fields. Remember, a required field is indicated by an asterisk. So you have your primary company contact, your business information, and your email marketing information. With your email marketing information, if you do not have a from email listed here, no email messages will go out, and this includes electronic receipts. Within your company options, you do have the ability to enable future orders. And with your customer profile setup, this is a way for you to find out different preferences by your customers and how to track them on usage. You would essentially add an attribute and then classify different options to that attribute. Moving on, we have our store information. The store information is more customer-facing, particularly in your receipt information and receipt message area. With the receipt information, you'll want to fill in what's the required field, and in your receipt message, this is a great place to put in your availability hours or a special message to your customers. If you ever want to look at a preview, hit Preview Email Receipt. Let's talk about taxes. I know it's on everybody's mind right now, considering tax season is just around the corner. And the first thing to note is that you will only be provided one category that says no tax at 0%. Beyond that, you'll need to create your own tax categories. To do this, you click Add a Tax Category, you name the tax category, and indicate if it's a default, meaning anytime you add in a new item, this tax category will be applied by default. Whenever you create the category, you'll then need to put in the percentage. So if the percentage rate is 9.25%, then you just type in 9.25. What's more is with each location that you have listed, if you click on the pencil icon to the left of it, you can now expand out your particular tax category to include multiple tax jurisdictions. So if you need a breakdown of, for example, county, state, and you can actually add a third one in for city if necessary, you just name your tax jurisdictions. You'll hit Done, and then of course need to break out those that were listed. So if originally our name tax category had the 9.25, maybe 5.25 is supposed to be paid out to the county, and 4% is supposed to be paid out to the state. On your tax report, you'll get a full breakdown of how much you owe to each of these municipalities accordingly, and you don't have to divide out the numbers based on the total amount. Let's move on to your payment methods. With your payment methods, it's important to note if you're going to accept credit cards, you're going to send in what's called a VAR sheet. That's V as in Victor, A as in Alpha, R as in Roger. If you don't have a processor set up to send us this VAR sheet, we do have a handy list we can provide to you. Once you obtain this information, please email it to customercare@ncrsilver.com as well as to the concierge team, just so we can keep an extra eye out for it. Your subject line should be VAR sheet, and be sure to include your active subscription number, as it's the fastest way to attach it to your account. With this information, please expect 24 to 48 business hours before it's in the system. Once it is in the system, you'll see in your back office it says Settings and then Payment Methods. Your integrated credit is shown above. You'll see your credit processor listed, that it's active, and you can now choose to allow manual card entry, accept credit card tips, require signatures for purchases greater than a certain amount, and affect your batch settlement. If it's set to manual, I'll show you how to manually send your batch a little bit later in the session. If it's set to automatic, you would put it on automatic. Your send batch time is always going to be on the Eastern time zone. So if you live in a different time zone, you'll need to adjust the time accordingly by choosing the drop-down arrow. I do advise that you do not settle a batch any earlier than 1 to 2 hours after your last accepted tip or transaction, just to give it a good buffer period to make sure all of those transactions have been sent to your processor. Now, once you've enabled your integrated credit, you can also turn on offline credit mode. Offline credit allows you to take a credit card payment without being connected to the internet or to the processor. So if you're in an area that has flaky internet, or you know that you're going to have terrible storms, which may cut out the power, but still want to take those credit cards, offline credit is a big benefit. You can continue to swipe it, and our system will store that information until you're connected back online again. Once you're connected and back online, you'll then find out if the transaction has been approved or declined. To act as a safety net to those types of transactions, we have your maximum transaction amount and maximum total by device. So if you don't want to exceed a certain amount of risk while being in offline mode, then you would set those limitations here. With integrated gift cards, you would need a VAR sheet sent to us as well. Be sure to include your active subscription number. Moving beyond, we have your accepted payment method summation. Cash will always be checked, and of course, once we have the appropriate VAR information, credit and gift cards will be checked. You, the merchant, do have the option to check checks, prepaid coupons, non-integrated credit cards, or non-integrated gift cards, because you, the merchant, are assuming the risk on accepting those different forms of payment. For example, checks, you won't be able to verify that the payment is good until you take it to the bank. Let's talk about your employees. In setting up an employee, before you even hit the Add an Employee button, I want you to check out your user roles. The user roles are the different levels of permissions that each job or each user role will have to access the point of sale. As you can see, we have 5. Time clock only is limited to just keeping track of an employee's time clock hours. Cashier will allow tracking of the hours and any POS transactions. Cashier Plus has even more responsibility on the POS. The manager will have access to both the point of sale and the back office. And as account managers, you have access to everything. You'll notice that your point of sale access permissions are above, and your back office access permissions are down below. To add a permission, you fill in a check mark. To take away the permission, you uncheck the box. Now, when you're sure that you're comfortable with knowing your user roles, then it's time to put in your employees. To add an employee, you'll type Add an Employee. You'll put in their name, their short name, and then just choose a user role. Now, the reason why I filled those 3 fields out is because they are required. You're more than welcome to add in an email address or a phone number, but after you choose a user role, if it's a lower POS only permission, you'll just need to put in a PIN number. If you choose a higher permission, such as a store manager, of course more information is now needed, including the email and a username, which we usually recommend to be the email. You'll then put in a password and confirm the password. Remember, if they need a username and password, that means that they can also access the back office through mystore.ncrsilver.com. But for the POS, you must get a PIN to get in. Once you add in your employees, you will see them listed out here. And if you take advantage of using the time clock feature on our system, you can track their hours in the time clock area. This is also the area where you can make certain adjustments. You'll notice that if somebody forgets to clock out, well, usually you'll notice this, but if somebody forgets to clock out, there will be an option where it says missing, as in the information is missing. You can edit that information by clicking on the line with the time clock information and adjusting the dates in and with your and dates out, as well as your time in or your time out, if they accept any cash tips, as well as if you wanted to put a commentary on their particular shift. You can get to a time clock report by clicking the Get Time Clock Report option, or I'll show you how to access that report later under the Results area. For now, let's go talk about what you're selling from the point of sale. Within your inventory section, there are 3 or 4 ways of putting in your items. One you can do from the point of sale. One you can do manually here. You can also import items by clicking the Import Items button, and we provide you a guide with a handy-dandy template. The most popular way of putting your items in is just to send it over to the concierge team. It is part of your service, so please take advantage of us as we want to help you set up your system. For now, though, I am going to walk you through how to manually set in your items. First, we need to make sure a category is present. If you don't see a category present, you'll add one in by hitting Add a Category. You then name the category and then click Save. Once the category is created, we'll click Add Item. You'll notice that the category is already filled in, and because we set up our default tax rate, the tax category is set in place too. Be advised of the ones that are set in by default, you can change them by clicking down the drop-down arrow. At this point, we need to put in our name. So today we'll just do horchata ice cream. We'll mark that it's available on the POS, and we can indicate our sales price. Now, if this was the only thing you had to do with the item, you just hit Save and continue on, because that's your basic item setup. However, if more information is needed, you can choose the Extended Item Setup and go on further. For example, now you can add in a description. You can put in variations, which account for different sizes, flavors, or anything in general that you need to ask a what question. So for our horchata ice cream, we need to know what size is it going to be. I clicked Add a Variation. I chose my variation subject, and then I broke down the qualifiers on each one. So small, medium, or large. Be advised you can do up to 3 variation subjects, but the combination of all of these should not have more than 1,500 combination values. You can also add in modifiers. I'll show you how to set up modifiers in a little bit, but when you have a modifier group, you can attach it to the item level here under the Assign Modifier section. You can either have a ton of modifiers or just particular groups at your leisure. We also have the ability to put in a barcode on the item level. Beyond the item level, you can put in a barcode at the variation level when you click Assign Barcode. You'll need to manually type in the barcodes for each of the variations. For your printer group, it's set to kitchen by default, but remember you can change it by clicking the down arrow and choosing a different printer group. And with our pricing and cost, we can have a single price and cost for all variations or dictate our price based on one of the variation subjects. So maybe our small is going to be $2. The medium will be $4. And the large will be $6. There we go. You are more than welcome to set an initial quantity on hand, though if that's not necessary, you can skip it. And you can also indicate a vendor from which you received the base product. Once you're done, click Save. Beyond setting up your items manually with the Add Item button, and of course importing them with the Import Items, you do have the ability to download a full item list. You can also sort the order of how your items appear on the POS, as well as your categories. And if you need to edit the items en masse, we have our Edit Multiple Items button, where you can choose a particular category, select your items and affect their price, move them to a different category, change their tax rate, change their printer group, vendor, or even availability. You also have the ability to put on additional modifiers. So speaking of the modifiers, let's go ahead and go to the modifier section. Just like with our categories and items, we must have a modifier group present before we can add in the modifiers themselves. Modifiers are great for special instructions or upcharges on a particular item. To create the modifier group, you just hit Add a Modifier Group. You'll name it and indicate if you would like it to auto-show when it's associated with an item on a ticket. In this case, we're going to go ahead and click the cupcake option. To add in a modifier, we click Add Modifier. You can put in the modifier name and if an upcharge is present, you'll type in how much the upcharge will be. You'll then click Save Changes, and your modifier has been added. For your departments, you can group together similar categories. To create a department, you hit Add a Department, you name it, and then click the boxes on which categories you want associated with that particular department. Be advised, a category cannot be in more than one department at any given time. Now let's talk about our discounts and promotions. With the discounts, these will be manually applied on the item or the ticket level. You'll be given 4 discounts to give you an example of how they look, and all of those are prompted or can be changed directly from the point of sale. However, if you have a set amount or % off discount, you can indicate that here when you hit Add a Discount. You'll name the discount. You need to put in a description. You can choose the discount type. Remember, if it says prompted, that's a flexible discount and can be changed at the point of sale. Otherwise, if you have a set amount or % off, you would put the set amount or %. So say my discount is going to be 10% off. I'll just put 10, and then I'll indicate if it applies either to the item level or to the ticket level. For the qualification, this is an important distinction to know where you can locate the item or the ticket level discount. Not only that, but when you're using the discount, you can put the minimum qualifying amount, meaning unless my customer spends $50, they will not get the 10% off. Moving on, we do have our promotions. With promotions, these are automatically applied item level discounts. A great use of these would be like a buy one, get one free. With the buy one, get one free, you would of course name the promotion. You would set up the effective dates and mark that it's active. For the buy one, get one free to work, you would need to make sure that you ring up 2 of the items because you need both present in order for one to be affected by a discount of 100% off. Not only can you do a percentage off, but you could also do an amount. The items themselves that will be affected on this will be under here under the Items and Edit section. You can put in entire departments, entire categories, items, and even variations on particular items. To add them over, you highlight the item name, variation, department, or category, and then you click Add. When you're done, you'll click Save. Once you're done beyond that, you can click Save again. Let's move on to our Manage section. Under the Manage section, this is where you'll see your snapshot, your count worksheet, count entry, and the Receive area. The snapshot is a general overview report of all of your items. It is based on the last 6 weeks of data, so if you put in an item instead of your quantity but don't sell anything for 6 weeks, it will disappear from this report. If you have more than 1,000 items on this particular report, you will have to choose a category to investigate further. Apologies, it seems to be taking some time on generating this report. But the main thing to note is that you can look at your total cost on what you have in stock, as well as check your quantity on hand versus a reorder point on this report. Since it's taking, apologies, we're reconnecting right now. All right, now we're back and reconnected, and the report is now present. As I stated, the most important things to note are your reorder point, which you can compare versus your quantity on hand in units. And you can also double check your replacement value as well as retail value. For your count worksheet and count entry, these are essentially the same report or same concept, where you can just do an audit of how many you have on hand of your item values. Your count worksheet is the printable PDF document that you can, of course, print out and take around your store to physically mark. And the count entry is the digital version of that same report. Within the count entry, you'll of course see your item name, the variation, if there's a barcode present. You can type in how many packages you see on hand, or how many units you see on hand. So with our bagels, maybe we see that we're expected to have 1, yet we counted 5. Whatever we type in as the units on hand will also override what we had as our expected, because this is now our actual count value. Another thing to note is you can also put in your reorder point here. So if our bagels go below 10, you'll know it's time to call the vendor to reorder. You can also see your last counted date, but note that there is no calendar feature which will allow you to go back in the past and see what your items looked like at any given time. There is no historical value to our manage section. Everything is always at present and on point on what you're selling. For the receive section, this is where you'll just add on inventory itself. Once again, if you have over 1,000 items, you'll need to choose a vendor or a category or search for the item itself. You can always change the vendor, put in your packages received, as well as type in a brand new cost. This is only for additional. Do not put your total values on hand on the packages received, or else it will add on to what you already had. So as a quick recap, receive is additional. Count entry, count worksheet are those strictly for overriding and auditing your quantity on hand. Let's go ahead and move over to our POS, because at this point we've already set up everything from our employees to our inventory. The POS, if you have an iPad screen, you'll know that you have to get to the application by downloading it from your App Store. Otherwise, if you have an Android system, the application is already uploaded for you. The application icon itself looks like an S with a cloud on top. Once we click on the icon, we'll be presented with our login screen window. With the login screen window, remember, you have to put in your PIN to gain access into the system. You can either log in or you can clock in. Once you hit clock in, this helps you to keep track of your hours. Be advised, though, if you try to clock in twice, you will be given a warning to say, hey, you've already done so. Are you sure you want to continue? Otherwise, if you just type in your PIN, you can hit log in to gain access. Now, this is our point of sale screen. And before we even start typing up transactions, I'm going to show you some functionality within the program itself. On the top right corner, you'll see we have a message icon as well as our cloud. The cloud will show that we are currently connected and online. If that color changes from anything other than green, you'll want to let us know immediately so we can try to help you troubleshoot the concern. Remember the message we typed in earlier? Well, here it is. The message will stay red and lit until it is read by the particular employee. It even gives you the expiration date on how long this message will be here. Once it is read, the message itself is grayed out. On the top left part of your screen, we have the slide out panel. You can slide out the panel by clicking the 3 lines. Ticket entry leads us back to the ticket entry where we can ring up sales. The store name is always on the second line. And with this information, you can see your store name, the app version, as well as the station name. We can also log out from the point of sale. With the drawer options, those can only be enabled if you currently have a shift open. Otherwise, we can look up our customers, we can look up items, or even gift card balances if you have gift cards enabled. If you want to look at particular reports, we can look at our time clock report. If you see an employee has been clocked in twice and that's incorrect, you can forcibly clock them out by hitting clock out. You can always check who's clocked in now or everybody who's clocked in for the day. With the slide out panel, we can also check on other reports such as your store summary, sales. You can access the back office by going straight to the website via the web. You can look at Help tab. The settings will show you different options such as your checkout options, require PIN entry, enable your time clock. Or what's really cool is under the system options of settings, you can even test your network strength to see how well you're connected to not only the internet, but to your back office to send the information, to your credit card processor, or the host in general. So if you're ever having network functions, this is a great way to do a quick test without needing to download an exterior program. Now, between your Android system and the iPad, the Android system does not have a training mode yet. And may I emphasize yet, it is around the corner. But on the system, if you do have training mode, you can see it here at the bottom of the slide-out panel. To enter into it, you have to have a shift open, and you then click Enter Training Mode. So let's go ahead and open up a shift. The very first time you open up a shift, you'll be prompted for a starting cash amount. That's the base amount. If anything deviates or the base amount is not correct, you can correct it with a pay in or pay out, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But beyond that, after you close your first shift, the only other way to open your shift is just to hit the Open Shift button. You will not be prompted for your starting cash amount from here on out because that will be established from the previous evening. And I'll show you this once we close the shift. On the point of sale transaction screens itself, your ticket functionality is on the left side of your screen. Your items are on the top right, and your categories are on the bottom right. Of your ticket functionality, you can view the ticket to start typing in items. We can hit customer to assign a customer to the ticket. All customers are searchable by their name, telephone number, and email. If you've enabled tags, you can put a particular tag to this order. For example, you can mark it for here, to go, pick up, delivery. You can also put in your own information on a ticket by adding in a note or enabling that this is a future order. You can also recall or reprint a ticket or start a return. For right now, though, we're just going to type in a regular order. So let's go and find the horchata ice cream that I typed in earlier. Here, I clicked on the desserts category and I see my horchata ice cream. I'm then prompted with my variations. If variations are mandatory, you must choose one of the options before being able to continue on. You'll then be shown your modifiers if they're set to auto show. To add in a modifier, you just hit the plus sign. To take away the modifier, you hit the minus sign. Notice, though, that if I hit plus with an upcharge will be applied. But if I hit minus with an upcharge, that does not diminish from the value of the product. Because the item is selected, you'll see that on the right side we have a lot more item options. For example, if we had our variations, we can say, oh no, this wasn't a large, this was a medium. We can apply an item level discount. We have the price override, where you can adjust the price based on a manager override, or maybe it's a damaged object or item. And we can always check out the item details. What's cool here with the item details is we can actually edit the item. So everything we did in the back office, we can affect here again on the POS by clicking the Edit Item tool. We also have the ability to add this item to our favorites, which would mean it would show up in the favorites category. On the item level, we can also add a note. We can change this one item to a return, or we can delete the line altogether. Otherwise, if you do not need to see these item options anymore, you can hit Close. Let me show you. Under our favorites category, here is the horchata ice cream. Like I say, I can ring up another item, such as frozen yogurt, and this is one that has a quantity value. So if you have a value on weight, that is set up in the back office on where you do by weight and not by each. Otherwise, a clean ring, you would just simply type the item, and it would pop up on the left side of the screen. Another cool thing you can do on the item level, you'll see there's a value, like a quantity value. I can increase my quantity by typing in the number and then typing in a different one. And if, for example, we type a number and we put it to 0, it actually deletes the item altogether. Notice, though, when we started typing in items, how our ticket options began to change. We now have the ability to hold a ticket. We can delete a ticket by hitting Clear Ticket, or we can apply the ticket level discount. Just to emphasize, remember under the discount options, you had to choose item or ticket. The item is found when you click on the item and hit Item Discount. The full ticket, though, is found right here. So if you set up an item, or if you set up a discount and you can't find it, you got to remember where you set it to be located. Let's talk about holding a ticket. When you hold a ticket, this is a temporary state in which you can hold a ticket and then come back and recall it later. A great use of this would be, for example, maybe your customer forgot their wallet in their car. So as opposed to typing everything out again that we just did, we put it on hold. We can help the next customer in line. We can help them by having pay. We'll choose our payment type. And oh, the customer came back. So to help the customer that was previously put on hold, we'll need to hit Recall or Reprint. Whenever you hit Recall, Reprint, you'll be given some options. Hold, Completed, or Orders if you've enabled future orders. Under the Completed, this will be where any ticket that has already been paid for. You can either hit New Copy to replicate what you've just rung up, or Receipt to print or email the receipt. Otherwise, you'd want to hit Hold to view the ticket that you just put on hold. To continue with this ticket or to finish off the transaction, you would want to hit Recall. Once again, receipt is either print or email. Or let's say the customer walked away completely, so you need to remove the ticket or delete the ticket by hitting Clear. Otherwise, when we hit Recall, we can see the ticket is exactly as we had it. Also to emphasize, remember I said that hold is best for a temporary state. If you have tickets on hold for an extended amount of time and you suddenly need to update your application, that will delete all of your tickets on hold. So only use it for special circumstances such as somebody forgetting their wallet, etc. Well, let's talk about the payment. I glanced by it when I hit the pay option earlier, but I want you to notice that there's also a cash option. It was a popular feature request that people wanted a faster way to get to the cash. So all you do is hit cash and then type the amount or value that you took in. Otherwise, if you hit pay, you can see all of your accepted payment methods. This is beneficial if you start taking in partial payments. For example, like a non-integrated gift card, maybe I only took $20 of value, and the rest will be paid out in cash. I can hit cash, and my amount either needs to match or exceed my amount due. Once I type in the amount, I'll hit Done, and I'll be presented with my change due on the left side of the screen. Remember, if you're ever unsure about the ticket, you can always go back under your completed and view how much was paid to you and how much you gave back in change. As far as a return is concerned, you can do a return one of two ways. You can either type in the items manually from the right side of the screen to the left, or you can search for a particular ticket. Once you search for the ticket, you would hit Return and either choose the items that were returned, like line by line, or all lines all together. Then you would hit Refund. If your customer paid with a credit card, you will be prompted to ask if you would like to return the funds to that particular credit card. Otherwise, you can hit one of your other payment options to issue the refund. Now let's circle back to our three lines. If you ever need to open up the drawer, you can hit the No Sale. A Pay In and Out allows you to add in funds that were not used during a sale. For example, maybe you needed some bananas from the store, so you gave one of your associates $10. You assign it as a payout, you're paying a vendor, and then we hit done. Same thing happens with pay-ins. Maybe you accepted the change back. You would just hit the pay-in out, make sure pay-in is selected, and you can put how much change you got back. You do have an option to put in a comment, but it's nice to know that our system will record that comment in a cash reconciliation detail report, which I'll show you in just a couple of minutes. So let's go ahead and close the shift. With the close shift, we need to hit the close shift button. You'll be shown two lines here, your cash amount and your leave in drawer. Your cash amount will be everything in your drawer. So if your base was 100 and you took it 150 in sales, then your cash amount expected to view would be $250. Your leave in drawer would be whatever you're going to leave in your drawer. At this point, you'll be given your cash reconciliation detail. Of all the lines here, the over short is the most important. So if you see that your over short is significantly over, you can always go back and hit recount. So you can either type in the items again, or you can hit coins and bills to put in your quantity of how many you have in your object. This is also beneficial if your employees just want to count the quantity value and not have to do like 5, 10, 15, 20. Once you hit done, the total of that cash amount will be applied here. Once again, you'll be shown your over short line. If anything seems off, you can always go back. You can hit recount as many times as you'd like. However, if you're decided that this is exactly as you need it to be on the system, you can hit confirm. And your shift is now closed. You can then either close the shift or hit print to print out a full-scale report from your receipt printer. At this point, we need to look at what we're getting out of the system. At first glance, you'll be shown your activity summary on the My Store tab. Here you can check your net sales and transactions as well as your accepted payment types during this shift. You can check your alerts, such as any discount sales or that are higher than usual. You can get a breakdown of your discounts and offers, which ones are the most popular, as well as if any email campaigns are being used to attract your customers back to the store. You can also check a metric of your last 6-week trend on not only sales, but also transactions. If we move over to the sales dashboard, we get another key metric trend, which will show us either our sales, profits, or transactions. For today, the last 7 days, the last 30, or beyond with our calendar feature. And we can do a further breakdown of our daily total, the hourly average, and even the 30-minute average. So it gives you a true breakdown of your busiest times of day, which will eventually help you to schedule employees much more effectively. Beyond this, you also get a category breakdown on your most popular categories, and you can see the trend on how frequently they're used based on the category trend, and you'll even get an item list of your most popular items per each of those categories. With your customer dashboard, we can check your email marketing. So if you're sending out messages to your customers, you can see how effective they are based on what you've sent them and if they've brought back any receipts or discounts because of this email. With your customers, we showed you how you could assign them to the ticket. And when you do assign your customers to a ticket, we can track the dollar amount spent, their visits, or even their last visited date. We can also check your customer conversion, which will show us when you have a walk-in customer to one who provides their name to one who provides their email address. Within the results, we have quite a few reports to look at. We just ended our shift, so let's take a look at our shifts report. With the shift that we just closed, we'll want to look for the one that has the open and the close time. When we click on the link here, this will give us our shift report, which will show us when we had the shift open and closed and by whom, your gross sales, discounts, overrides, returns, net sales information, taxes, tips, gift cards sold, as well as your ticket total. You can take a look at your payment types accepted during the shift. If you had any pay-ins, payouts, or cash deposits, the total amount in taxes paid, if there were any no sales pushed, if you had any discounts used, price overrides, cleared tickets, cleared items, or if there was any offline credit. With the store summary, this shows you the exact same information, except it accounts for the full 24-hour period. So if you have multiple shifts open during the day, the combination of all of these will be in the store summary. And it looks exactly the same as the shift summary, so you can compare your numbers accordingly. With your device, employee, and location activity, it's the same information but from different points of view, either by per device or per your employee, or of course per location. With your discounts and promotions, you'll see which discounts and promotions were used. Same thing with price override. And your taxes will show you your taxes owed. If you do have a further breakdown of municipalities, those will be shown to you on this report. Your time clock report will give you the summation of your time clock information. And if you ever see that somebody has an open shift and it should be closed, remember you know how to adjust this under the employee section. The tips are for credit card tips only, and offline credit only shows you if you've been approved or declined once you're back online again. Of all the reports in your sales section, the departments and modifiers are nice to look at, but the most popular is your item sales and your sales summary. With your item sales, it gives you a breakdown by your category, item name, the current price, and your net sales information per each item sold. With your sales summary, you get a comparison day by day of each business day. And if you click on the business day, it takes you right back to your store summary. Moving down below, on your customers, you can see the bulk emails, the subject of these, and how effective they were in coming back. If you keep notes on your customers, you'll see their customer notes. And you can also track your customer sales with the customer sales report. The lists, though, are self-explanatory, where it gives you a list of your items, customers, or devices. Now, while your reports have all of the information summarized, your POS transactions will give you the breakdown per each transaction. You'll see the date and time, the ticket number, your transaction type, the customer name, the amount paid. If there's a balance due on a future order, you'll see a balance due shown. The operator name and your station. All of your ticket details will be repeated down below. Lines will show you what they purchased. Payments will show you how they paid, and taxes will show you what taxes were collected. If at some point you did put a ticket note, you'll also see it in the notes section. And if you ever need to view the ticket directly from the back office, you can do so when you hit Preview Receipt. With Preview Receipt, you can view the ticket as it was given to the customer. You can also email the customer the ticket or print it directly from your desktop printer. Now, credit settlement, by comparison, only associates with the credit transactions and tickets. Here, this is also where we see our batch information. Of all the batch information listed, you have your total amount, status, and settlement timestamp are the most important. Total amount shows you the amount owed to you that the processor will pay out. Status, if it says open, means it has not gone to the processor yet. And if it says settled, it has, and we indicate so with a settlement timestamp. Your transaction details will be listed below with your ticket number all the way to the right. And you can even look at a breakdown by your batch totals by pay type. If you ever have an issue, apologies, before we move on to the fields, I do want to note that if you have a status and it says open, your green settle batch button will light up. If you need to manually settle a batch, you'll just simply push on this button, and then it will be pushed through to your processor. At this point, we can now talk about the failed section. With the failed section, this is where you see if you had an error appear on your point of sale due to a credit card. The error messages themselves are provided by your processor. We do not create these. So if you ever find yourself in a situation with a bad error, you'll want to contact your processor to resolve it. However, we're more than happy to help, so once it's resolved on the processor's end, feel free to reach out to our customer care team to troubleshoot further. Now your customers. What's nice about our system is there are different ways that you can attract your customers back to your place of business based on email marketing, your loyalty program, or even looping in your social sharing links. With your social sharing links, we account for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All you do is check the boxes and then put in the links that go to your particular social media sites. These icons will then appear at the footers of all email marketing messages. Your bulk email is an email you can customize and send out at any time. Based on the customer information that you collected, you can send out to all customers or by a particular category. Once chosen, you can then put in your subject line and modify the template. If you don't like the template as it's shown to you on the screen, feel free to change it by clicking Start New Email, choosing a template that best reflects your business, and then adjust the boxes as needed. To adjust the boxes, you click on the gear icon at the top right corner of each section. So you can either add or edit the image, edit the text, or even edit the offer. You'll notice, though, that even though we see the boxes, if they're empty and we hit Preview, that section of the message will not be present. So an empty box is an invisible box. Along with the preview feature, we also have a spam check feature which allows you to see how deliverable your message will be. You can send a test email, or when you're ready to send out to your customer base, you can share it as a Facebook post or click Send Email to go ahead and send it on. By comparison, our recurring emails are set up by a trigger to the system. Your email receipt email. Obviously, the trigger is set that the customer has requested the receipt via email. This is a great place to put in your logo. And not only can you swap out the image for your logo, but you can even put on your website. So if somebody clicks on your logo, it would go straight through to your business website. With your welcome and miss you emails, these must both be turned on before they will be sent out. With the email turned on, this means that with your welcome, as soon as your customer provides an email address, the message will be sent out to them. With the miss you, you can also turn the email on, but the email will not go out unless the customer has made a purchase within a certain number of days. So once that benchmark is met, the email will be sent out to your customers to say, hey, we miss you, please come back. Another way to keep your customers engaged is through one of our loyalty programs. You can only choose one, and it will be either points or punches. The points program is based on your dollar amount. So $1 spent is 1 point earned. Once you've reached the benchmark of the points required in the system, then you'll get the reward of either a percentage or an amount off. And once it's spent, you can also set a minimum purchase requirement. Not only that, but to encourage them to spend their reward faster, you can even set up an expiration date. All disclaimers and expiration dates will appear at the footers of each receipt. However, the customers cannot contribute into a loyalty program unless they're being assigned to a ticket. So if you don't put the customer to the ticket, then we won't know to track them. The other program I wanted to mention is punches. This is regarding on the number of visits. Not only can you have it counted as a visit, but you can also put a minimum purchase required. So if they don't spend a certain amount within a visit, then that visit did not count altogether. Now your customers. You saw that there's a way to collect their information by assigning them to a ticket. You can also import your customers through the Import Customer tool, or we can add them individually by clicking Add a Customer. The only information required by the customer is the customer name. Beyond that, the rest of it is kind of icing on the cake. But I do encourage that you collect some form of communication like their email or phone number. You can keep track of their birthday or anniversary if you want to celebrate, or type in individual notes. If there is any activity on their loyalty program, you will see it tracked here. Now that's it for our back office, except for help. I want you to know that you always have help with the concierge team, with your customer care team, and you definitely have help with us in the back office. With the help in the back office, though, it acts as your own personal Google to whatever you're viewing currently in the back office. So, being on the customer side, when I clicked help, it now provides me additional information on working with customers in the back office. If I move to something else, maybe my inventory, and then I click help again, it will give me the breakdown of each section within the categories, departments, and items, as well as helpful articles at the very bottom on continuing forward on how to create, edit, remove, filter, etc. And not everything's located in the back office. What if you want to know how to set up your printer? Feel free to choose the search bar to search for the hardware component, such as printer, and then you can choose how you're going to connect your printer. The most common one is the printer model 350, which will be either connected by Bluetooth or hardwired. Thank you for your time and attention today.